What is going on, y'all? GamersGoon here today, and today is not a video that exactly I'm excited to be making, but obviously you guys all know that I'm a big Oregon fan, so we are going to talk about kind of the elephant in the room at the moment. Today was a bad day for Oregon. It was a really, really bad day from Oregon. We started off today with the news of Trey McNutt, our five-star safety. Some sites had him as 4, some sites had him as 5, but one of our safety guy, one of our players that was in contention to be the starting safety, opposite of Thieneman. Trey McNutt breaks his leg. Now I don't know exactly what happened there. All I know is that he broke his leg. I don't know if it was in practice. I don't know how he did it. Trey McNutt, more likely than not, is not going to play this season with a broken leg. I broke my leg, right? It was about a 6 to 8 month process, somewhere in that range. You don't really get, even after that time, you'll have like a ramp up period, especially to go play football. I don't see Trey McNutt playing this season. I would be shocked. But yeah, he broke his leg. He will not be playing, and that is concerning. That is concerning. But the bad news didn't stop there, because when it rains, it absolutely pours in Eugene. Now, we already know. Usually our news comes in pairs of 2s or 3s, right? Recruiting, when we get one, we usually get 1 or 2 more to add on to it. Well, the bad news keeps piling on. First, it was Evan Stewart earlier in the summer not being there. And for that receiver room, he got himself hurt. Then Trey McNutt, he got hurt. And then today, another one. Well, I guess 2 today, actually. Evan Stewart was kind of the kickoff of all the bad luck coming all up until today, where we get 2 bad pieces of news from Matt Torres. Quick update here on a development. Jurion Dickey is not currently off the team, but he is suspended. It was not a single action, rather a series of them that led to the decision. The goal is for him to accomplish some things and make a return to the team when he is ready. If not, then we all know what that probably means. Given his tougher upbringing, which I mentioned below, this staff is hoping they can help him, not just run him off, but also not allow him to be a negative impact to the rest of the team. So he's not kicked off, nowhere near playing though right now. And then, so you might be like, where did that Jurion Dickey news come from, right? Well, another thing that got posted is this was posted, I don't know, about a half hour ago. Jurion Dickey is being kicked off the Oregon football team for fighting teammates and arguing with coaches. So something went down in practice today. Jurion Dickey is now on the hot seat. So he was already in a kind of battle, I guess you can say, for a spot, because obviously with Evan Stewart not being back, DeCorian Moore obviously you would assume having the spot. And then you have some veterans like Malik Benson, you have Gary Bryant, you have Justice Lowe, Kyler Casper even in that receiving room. Jurion Dickey was fighting for some time there in that starting group. So we don't really have a timetable right now with Jurion Dickey, but he is now suspended from the team. It was initially reported he was kicked off the team. It sounds like this coaching staff is going to give him a second chance. At no point was I ever alerted to anything that there was some sort of build-up period, but it sounds like this is something that the staff took very seriously. It was something that I guess probably piled on. It was not just one moment. It sounds like there could have been a little bit more to this situation. So that's some rough news. Obviously, Trey McNutt getting hurt, you never want to see that. And then you're hoping Jurion Dickey can kind of sort out whatever went wrong today with the fighting of teammates and arguing with coaches. you hope that that can get sorted itself out, because at the end of the day, Jurion Dickey is a very talented player. And for the most part, Dan Lanning has been able to kind of not allow somebody that can create problems impact the team negatively. I look at somebody like Trayshawn Holden, and when he was first on the team, initially there was a report when he got kicked off the team because of his situation off the field. Whatever happened there, it sorted itself out. He was welcomed back into the team, and up until the spitting incident against Ohio State, we didn't hear much of anything out of any sort of behavioral issues to deal with Trayshawn Holden. For the most part, you got him right. Hopefully that's something that Jurion Dickey can do, because we saw Trayshawn Holden have a pretty solid year last year. So hopefully Jurion Dickey is in the same kind of space where he can be somebody that 2 or 3 weeks down the line, when things kind of ease up and there's no longer any sort of tension between whatever the fight was or whomever all was involved, whatever coaches were involved. Hopefully he can make amends and figure things out and be a part of this team, because it's hard to argue that a guy like Jurion Dickey is not very talented. I mean, we got a load of like 4 or 5 star recruits that just haven't played much football because of the guys we've had in front of them, the Tez Johnsons, the Evan Stewarts. You even look at Trayshawn Holden. It was guys that were kind of waiting in the wings. Jurion Dickey was one of them. He was going to be one of those guys to fight for a spot. So we'll see what the case is there with Jurion Dickey. Hopefully everything works itself out. He can work his way back onto the team, because right now it sounds like it is not going to be a thing where tomorrow it's all going to be water under the bridge. It sounds like it's going to take some time. It's going to be something that Jurion Dickey is going to have to take some time to kind of figure things out and apologize to whomever needs to be apologized to, and hopefully that's something that he can do, because I think he is a very talented player. We just haven't really got to see it on the field just yet, because he's been one of the guys waiting his turn for an opportunity, and I don't know necessarily what caused the fighting and the arguing with coaches, but there's always two sides of a story. I'm not saying that Jurion Dickey would be in the right to fight a teammate or argue with coaches, right? But we kind of don't really know fully the full picture there of what kind of led up to this. Is it something that's dealing with a position battle? I mean, we don't really know. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to bring him back into the fold of the things, especially in a group right now that you're looking for receivers that you can start to gain trust in. You assume DeCorian Moore is your number one. You assume that out of Malik Benson and Gary Bryant, one of those two will be heavily involved this season, and you kind of are looking at guys that have been in the program to find an answer there as to who might be the guy. Is it Justice Lowe, who's shown some stuff? Is it Kyler Casper, who's finally healthy? Jurion Dickey would have been in the fold. I don't know exactly what that mean, what this piece of news means to the whole room. But it does make things a lot more difficult for Jurion Dickey, and I kind of was thinking about like this team and the direction it's going, right? It's going to be a wide receiver by committee type of beat. I mean, yes, you had DeCorian, but I don't think there's any like major top 3 like you had last year, right? You don't have just these are our guys that are going to be in for 80-90% of the time. I think it's going to be a little bit more spread out. So Jurion Dickey, we to be honest, we need playmakers. So it does suck to hear that news. It does suck even more to hear the Trey McNutt news, because obviously Trey McNutt's situation is nothing that was disciplinary. It was something that is kind of out of his control there, breaking your leg. sucks, especially when you are. I mean, the good news with Trey McNutt, right, is he is a freshman this year. He can take his red shirt. He'll still have 4 years of eligibility. But on the other end of it, for both Oregon and him, you're looking for a starting safety opposite of Dylan Thieneman. His name was popping up on some people's radar as maybe he being the guy. Now, I think it makes the decision a little bit more easy. Like I said, Kingston Lopa's probably the guy, but that does put Trey McNutt behind the eight ball a little bit too, and we've seen it a few times with Oregon players and recruits in the past, uh, like Justin Flo, right? You get hurt, you get behind the eight ball, you never really get back to being that guy that Oregon thought you could become. Injuries this early, always something that's going to be hard to bounce back from. The good news is I think Oregon has some of the best staff when it comes to recovery. The strength staff is phenomenal there, and I think that worst case scenario, I think they can get him back. Maybe not at 100% what he was pre-injury, but I think that they're gonna have him being like 90% at least of what he was. I think Trey McNutt will be fine in the long run. Look at Oregon kind of dealing with injuries in the past. Cam McCormick, obviously we know, very long career in college football, but he was able to come back multiple times because of how great that staff does with recoveries to the injuries. You look at a guy like Trey Benson, who's now in the NFL, another guy that was hurt and had to go through rehab there. So I do think that for Trey McNutt's case, I do think he is in a good spot that the staff will put the resources in. They know, like, Trey McNutt's good. He's good, and he will have all the support he needs. For the Jurion Dickey situation, though, it's something that's going to have to work itself out off the field. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know down below what your opinions are on the recent Oregon Ducks news.